critical necessities of that matter. No, I'm just kidding. Oh my God.
Down Adrian Street.
Yeah. Okay, I saw somebody going 50 down Adrian Street today. I am not arguing with you. No, it was a car. It was a very large car. And I was like, because I can tell you, I was 135 and they passed me like I was sitting still.
Because I looked at it, I'll be 140 and I'm like,
no, it was not. We're going to go ahead and call our meeting to order. So please stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we'll just go ahead and, like I said, Mike will be able to try and write it here. And now we've got down here for our first item on the agenda is the personnel policies regarding weapons on the job medical title.
Yes, so thank you, Lisa, for printing all of the documents. You guys should have it in front of you. I printed, or I included that entire section, but it's really just the weapons policy that's being proposed as page 4 of your packet. So this actually, I think you guys recall here not too long ago, you guys council meeting to not allow firearms to be carried by our employees at the village, and council was not in favor of that. They did at that time. You guys said to maybe you were doing something with brandishing and bring it back to you guys. So I wanted to put it on committee of the whole to talk about it, so that if it's something you want to move forward, that we don't have to rehash it all out in a council meeting. So I sent this amendment to you guys. Legal has looked at it. They're standing by their initial recommendation that we don't allow weapons on village property, but they said that this is better than nothing. But I just, if you guys have questions or want to change this, or you want me to take it off, we're not going to do anything. I just need some direction from you guys, I guess. So I'll open it up to questions.
What is the current policy?
What's that?
The current time,
Correct. There's no policy at this time. So this would be completely adding this section. And this is saying, so under law, if you have concealed carry, you cannot brandish a weapon. But the law specifically says that you cannot brandish with the intent to harm or threaten. So if I were to have a concealed carry and I pulled out my gun and I said, Sherry, check this out, and put it away, that's not technically under the law illegal because I didn't threaten her, I didn't have the intent to harm her. And so what we've done, instead of just following the law, is we're saying regardless of intent, I shouldn't be pulling out my gun and saying, Sherry, check this out, what I have. It should be, if I have concealed carry, it should be just that it should be concealed, it shouldn't be out at all. I shouldn't be telling it to people and bragging about it.
Hence the reason it's safe for brandishing, displaying, or otherwise revealing any weapons.
Right.
Michigan, I looked up some of the stuff over the weekend. In Michigan, the law doesn't say one way or the other, but they do recommend that you have some type of policy on it. Whether it allows for it or whether it doesn't.
We're just on the weapons, Mike.
Okay.
Very good. Yeah. So that's the concern from the, and I think I kind of talked about this at the council meeting, is the risk management, like the likeliness of something happening hopefully is low, but if it does happen, we have a high risk if we have no policy identifying what's allowed and what's not allowed. And that's part of the reason that this came up to you guys, is to try to mitigate or address that risk if something comes up.
If we put the word displaying in there, that means they can't open carry.
Correct.
But it's legal to open carry as long as people can see from 3 points, front, back, and one side. So you can't display it, then they went to go here.
They're open carry. I think if we're gonna have, anybody who's carried, who has a CPL, which is allowed to carry, let's put that, but if someone wants to go with carry. That as well. Have it in there, I mean, you can open carry and if you guys touch that gun and display it or whatever, then fall under the display. Is how
So display would have it out of the poster.
Yeah.
Have it poster and have no CPL, then they're okay under this policy. Take it out of the
That's not how
That's not
I
how
was reading it. I was reading that they cannot open carry.
Right. That's how, under this, that's how I. Okay.
Right. Correct.
I drafted it and moved over.
Like we talked in the council meeting, if we say that, that's violate their rights too, but legally. Now pulling it out of the holster, right, job, that's branding. And there needs to be some kind of, what I want. Punishment, what's the right word? Consequence. Some action taken as a result of their action. It doesn't come out. And actually, when you're even out, let's say we're out in the sidewalk and you pull it out and the police officer comes by and you got it out, what's he going to do? You got the gun out. So yeah, it needs to stay in the holster, open carry. It's a CPL, it needs to stay in CPL.
So we're okay with, as an example, we have an employee who works at the water plant. It's a secure facility. You can only be buzzed in, open carrying a gun, climbing up a ladder to work on a pump or a light or whatever, and having that gun on their side. We don't have any concerns with that.
That's what I maintain on.
And I wouldn't even do a policy. And if you guys have no concerns with any of that, I would say go to a policy.
I don't like how this reads either, because what if they need to use it on the unfortunate circumstance that they work? If they pull it, it doesn't mention anything. And an emergency type basis or an as needed basis, it literally says,
Well,
the way this reads is if you
we're
justify to use it, you can be terminated. And I don't like that.
because we're their employer, so we can't give them permission when they can and can't use it.
But it doesn't address it if they were to. And again, I feel like we're babysitting. It's not necessary. If we address the issue at hand, I get everybody's too happy legal issues and all that kind of thing. But again, if we have faith in our staff, in our leadership, and in our supervision to make sure that this is taken care of, then there shouldn't be an issue. Address anything that there is and follow the process. But
I feel like if somebody has in the past, there is, that would be a criminal offense if they brandish. That's what I think I'm looking for, a criminal offense.
But it's not
If they're brandishing it.
with the intent. If they don't have the intent, it's not brandishing.
How do we know what a person's intent is?
Well, that's
We don't.
the problem.
We don't know their intent. Somebody walks through that door and they're carrying a gun. You know what I'm gonna think? They're after one. I mean, if they have it in their hand,
Right.
they're coming after somebody in here. So if they pull it out of their holster and they got it up, I had a situation like that at work, and it happened to one of my coworkers.
I kind of come unglued about it because if you're carrying it, you keep it in your holster, CPL, you keep it there. And the only time you pull it out is if you intend on using it. Right, Bill?
And technically, that's the only time you're supposed to pull it
Right.
out.
You pull
If
it
you
out.
have an intention of using it.
You pull it out, then you're, in my mind's eye, you're gonna use it. That's the way I read it.
Which is brandishing.
But I agree with Mike, that displaying, if we're saying you can't do a open carry, I mean, that would fall under display, but displaying, unless we look at it as the chariot said, displaying is coming out of the holster.
It shouldn't be you can or can't do this. It should be if you use this, if you pull this weapon, whether it's a knife or any kind of weapon, out for anything other than a threat or safety or anything like that, then you could be just. I don't think you should state what you can and can't. They should just say if you use this for the wrong reason, then you have some repercussions. That gives us a little bit of grounds to stand on.
And like I will say, if you guys don't want to do a policy, I'm more in favor than that, because this is what's going to happen. And I care about our employees as people, but if you guys have hired me to protect the village, and if we put a policy saying that you can only use your weapon if you're threatened, and I shoot my weapon because I was threatened or whatever situation, the village will be sued with that employee. So I will be sued, the village will be sued. That opens the village up for probably more liability than we have without having a policy. So I would be, and I can talk to the attorneys who can talk to you guys about that more than me, but I would be very against that. I would rather just have nothing.
The village is gonna be sued regardless.
Exactly.
I agree with
No,
that.
no, that, I
But-
slightly disagree. If there are no firearms allowed, then there is no suit.
What if the employee brings it in regardless of what our policy
But if
says?
we've said that you can use it to protect yourself, we've given the employee permission. We have much more of a liability than if we said it's not allowed or it's not coming
I'm
out.
looking at it strictly as a liability issue, and that's why I stated that as well, when we discussed this. I mean, the attorney is saying it is a liability issue for the village. I'm taking all the other things out of it. I'm just making it as simple as that. If we have a policy and there's nothing, then there is nothing for the village to be sued. That's that was
And
the point I was trying to say.
I understand that as well. But if a person wants to carry because they want to have a weapon on them, say between their car and work, like that, you know, you're saying, well, you can carry a gun to work, but you can't bring it in. But there's that space in between the building and your car. Would be the reason why most people would carry.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I'm going with the attorney's position on this.
I'm hearing that a majority of you don't like the policy. So I think we just, my recommendation based off of what I'm hearing, you guys tell me if I'm wrong, is we do nothing, would be.
And then we open ourselves to a big wide liability by doing nothing.
But we've had,
And there was an issue.
okay, what did we do in that issue?
There
Did
was
we
a
treat it
policy.
as a criminal offense? Because under that, under law, when you brandish, you are breaking the law, correct? And if somebody,
You have to have the intent to harm. So the specific,
Brandishing is not the same as
it's,
I
yeah,
don't know how you prove that though, but that's where the burden of proof falls with brandishing or the intent to do.
so you're, I'm sorry,
No, go ahead.
if I pull out a firearm and I lay it on this table, y'all gonna think, Tim's just showing us his firearm, right?
No,
Well, I would, I think it depends on what the conversation is. Are we in a, argument? Are we talking about how I have 5 guns at home and I love guns and they're great, and you're like, I got this new gun, and you set it on the table? No, to me, that is not, I would not feel threatened by that at all. But if I'm saying, Tim, I agree, I disagree with you, you're wrong, and you're yelling back at me, and then you pull that out, I'm gonna feel a little bit threatened.
Right, you go back to your original example, somebody walks in through the door holding the gun. We have no other option but to assume they intend to do harm. Because there is no context other than they've immediately walked in with their gun in their hand. So there's nothing else to assume safely.
Right.
So that it's, I like why I like this policy is because it says this is what we do not want to have happen. Now, it does not address open carry. That's true, because to me, open carry sends an immediate message to people that I don't know if we want our employees to offer that message of don't even start anything, don't try anything, look at me, I've got this right and I'm going to exercise it. I don't have a personal problem with it, but I have a problem with our employees doing it. The CPL, somebody mentioned, I think it was Mike, don't ask, don't tell. That's the intent of a CPL, my understanding, is that it's to keep the weapon hidden so that it's only brought out in case of emergency. And then that way you're potentially not a target, which then allows you to and if you choose to interfere and you choose to get involved, you can do that relatively without being the target, unless you personally are the target. So I don't know that we want to get into this is what you can and cannot do and try to delineate it, because I think having this smaller and tighter like this tells the employees what we expect. If we need to add something about, yes, we recognize it's a personal right to open carry. However, we're not going to permit open carry while you're performing your duties as an employee. And then just leave the CPL quiet.
Does that violate someone who open carries against somebody who does concealed carry? I mean, can that employee come back and say, well, you have this policy, you're telling basically this is saying I can't open carry. I open carry all the time, not personally.
Right. but it worked. Because I think there's got to be some. I mean, if places are able to, like hospitals and schools are able to say no weapons allowed. We have the same right as well.
We have the right to regulate while they're at work, like outside of work. I would never do that. Like we all would never do that, but at work we do have the right to say these are our expectations.
But according to this policy, if I take my pistol and lay down here, now I've displayed it.
Correct.
Yes,
correct.
Yes.
That's a determination.
Well, we haven't made.
Well,
I guess I need to take this.
That's why, can we just scratch that line since none of the other policies say, quote, like the violence in the workplace, so it's saying about community violence, maybe determination, right? Is that necessary in there? Again, if you violate that, the rest of this policy should encompass not following the rule, right?
yeah, we would follow our procedures for employee, like personnel action, which has the steps, but it does say too, like, we have the ability based on the severity or the instance or the circumstances to jump those steps. Like we typically go through progressive discipline, which is a verbal, a written suspension, and then termination.
So I have a question. So
yes,
this person,
it's already covered.
so the person that question, does that person open carry all the time.
They don't open carry.
They don't, they conceal carry.
Correct.
What was their intent?
It's not harm or injury.
I mean, when the person, did they just lay it on the table or they pull it out? It was,
So I don't want, this is a personnel action or personnel issue, and I would be unfair to discuss it without putting that person on notice and without giving them an opportunity to talk to you guys about it as well. So I want to be very careful because I would never do that to an employee, that we don't get into any specific circumstance at this time. If you guys want to do that, it is handled on my end, it is on the staff's end. If you guys want to talk to me about how it was addressed and make sure that we internally handled that properly, I'm more than happy to discuss that with you. But really don't need to come to you guys if there was some formal appeal or something by an employee. And I don't anticipate, because we're also talking about something that is, this has been a lot for some a long time, that this is happening. So this isn't just for one specific instance, and I know that you guys were made aware of a specific instance, but
I was just curious.
But it's like one bad apple
This-
to this. Yeah, the
This-
one bad apple ruining it for everybody else.
Did-
But
it
should have been
did
addressed.
start, it was addressed.
Immediately.
We weren't told immediately. Again, I'm not gonna get into it, so
No, that's fine.
so there's a lot to this story, but, this isn't just for one person, it's also, we're looking at our risk as a village and our liability,
Right.
which is the bigger, more,
Yes.
versus forefront issue that brought this forward.
So the may result in immediate termination is not the same as will result in immediate termination, is that correct? I
Correct.
assume that?
And you could, we could remove that because it's already addressed in our progressive discipline section. So it is a little bit redundant here because our progressive discipline, again, it says that employees will get, because it's always our goal if we can work with an employee to correct the issue, that they would get verbal, written, suspension, termination, and we can jump that depending on the circumstance.
And the severity that allows the supervisor and Danielle, as well as us, the proper process to go through and do the investigation, say, was this justified, was this not? We can make a proper determination. It's not just.
Yeah,
So
so it doesn't
drop it
have to
in.
be here because it's already addressed
Good.
elsewhere.
Then if we keep this, I would take that. Because it's being addressed somewhere else.
Yes.
If a member of the public walks in here with intent of doing harm, whether they're carrying open or whether they're carrying concealed, not gonna matter. They're gonna do it. I feel that our employees should have the ability to defend themselves in any way, shape, or form. I'm not necessarily for open carry by our employees. I feel that they ought to be able to carry concealed. An accidental exposure of a weapon, for instance, if it's on your hip side or wherever it's at, and you're walking along and your jacket exposes it, that's an accidental. If you reach back and grab it, pull it out, that's intent, potential intent. Then how do you prove that? You end up having at least an investigation internally to determine whether it is or not.
And that would have to be done.
That's why you just don't have them.
I mean, I guess I'd like to think we're gonna apply some common sense. If I lift my arms, my shirt sometimes comes up a little bit, and if it shows, I'm not gonna be like, you're written up now because I
Well,
saw.
your hands aren't touching.
Right, so, I mean,
Well,
there's
who
gonna be
says they're not
some
touching?
level, but if you,
Your hands are.
I'm taking such a devil's advocate.
Nope, that's fine. That's fine. You need to look.
No,
at it.
Have your hands touched that thing. You know what? That's your word against my word. Your hands touched it.
And I
And that's
understand.
where
Never
there's,
look at the camera.
excuse me,
Never look at the
I don't know if there are cameras on all over in all of our departments. I honestly don't know. And I'm just being devil's advocate. That's all. I'm
That's
saying.
fine. And I also understand that there are lots of people who don't care about it. That's their scary thing. I just.
say like, open carrying just due to, contact with the public and the nature of a lot of the jobs is highly discouraged.
I'm again, so
I
I
would
don't
say- I would
think
say-
our employees should, I don't think I should be coming up to the front desk with a
I
gun,
agree.
open carry, trying to talk to our residents. To me, as a resident, I want to go talk to somebody that's open carrying, that doesn't seem inviting or. And so that would be my concern with the open carry, or like our DPW goes around and they shut water off. I don't think it's a good look that they have a gun. That's my
I agree,
concern with that, and we've talked about that, like perception is reality.
Absolutely.
It just doesn't seem like that's somebody I could go to have a conversation with, and you should be, I think, approachable.
Right.
I'm saying.
Shut it off, shut it off.
So that's my only concern with open carry is I think people should be able to comfortably come have a conversation and talk to us and not have this fear that we're gonna respond a certain way or.
And I wholeheartedly full favor of Second Amendment and whatnot. And yes, open carry, I think is fine to an extent. But, not that I smoke pot or anything, but if, we have that in our rules too, you can't be drunk, can't be high just because, because Michigan allows you to smoke pot, doesn't mean that we can't, as a village, say, no, you don't do that on the job. We have our guidelines that maybe you don't carry on the job as well. I mean, my former employer, they wouldn't even let me take one on the grounds. So, I thought that was a little extreme. But I think there needs to be obviously options for staff to protect themselves as they feel needed within the Second Amendment. But we also do have some sort of control to say if we don't want them to open carry, that's right, is to the village to say that. Perception does become reality very easily.
I think I can agree with that. I think it needs to be concealed myself. So if we could put that in there. Yeah. If you're gonna carry, have it concealed.
And it's funny because I've been other, I've never seen anybody. I have never physically seen someone over here. I've heard stories about different places, but with people over here, but I have never personally seen someone over here.
I have, and there's a different sense to it. You get a different attitude and feeling towards it.
Oh, I'm sure that I
Some
would too.
people,
I'm just saying.
some
I've
people do
never
it
seen-
just because they say can, and some people like to stir the pot,
Right.
and you gotta see both sides of it. I agree. If I come and pay my water bill, I don't want to see Brandon or Lisa coming up. We're really,
Lisa, I do
it's not necessary. I think just for perception wise, safety wise, whatnot, I'm okay with it. Again, not to.
I mean, that's
infringe
where
anyone-
common
anyone's
sense
rights.
comes in.
Of course, yeah. But if there's a job to do, we still very nice in your pocket, okay, keep it in your pocket. Seal carry. Again, I don't want to sit here. Our lawyers are here to protect us, obviously, from litigation, lawsuits, get sued, etc. I don't want to tiptoe around all this stuff and not be able to do anything because we're scared that we're going to get sued anyway. So,
And we're gonna get sued either way.
Yep.
We will get sued either way.
exactly. Yes, we will.
The only difference is
It doesn't go
how
through.
much money is in the
Yep.
process. That's the only difference.
We would
We're
not
gonna
get sued, we would not, how would we get, again, how would we get sued if we had a policy that said no weapons?
I think I agree with Sharon.
I
just think our liability would be, because if they're going to sue, they're gonna try to sue
To say, what
anybody or anything,
So-
right?
would it be?
So if there's-
Really, what would it be for?
What if I have?
Because you said I can't bring a gun to protect myself, my wife's.
And something happens to me at work.
Okay, then you can look at it that way. Okay. So that's why you're saying regardless of if there's a gun or no gun.
And so, my training, of course, in the military career, the only display weapons you intend to use. So what you said, somebody comes in here, or me, as you comes and walks in the front door with them, their intent is to use it. I think that, I'm sorry to say this, but in today's day and age, children in school have the right to be protected in school. It's sad that we have to have school resource officers there. It's sad that we have to even think about DPW workers on a job site being in danger because they turn off water and somebody's gonna take a shot at it.
Unfortunately, that's the way our society is now.
It's reasonable expectation to be able to protect yourself.
You got experience at firsthand, when I mean, you guys are sitting ducks, you know, these no gun zones, literally, you got no protection for anything. So to me, it's sad, it's scary, especially
guess-
for our children.
You know, I know details, we do have that, we do have our liaison officer. There is one, you know, we also have, there are the secret protocols the building has gone through, the door locks, everything's locks, the badges. If somebody wants to get in anywhere, they're gonna get in anywhere. So I mean, the school, I only speak for Bedford schools, I feel very confident in the building I was in. Would we be sitting ducks? Certainly. Do we recognize that? Yes. Especially when you have a bunch of kids out there at the playground and do that. But we just honestly hope that sounds naive, but we hope that doesn't happen. But everyone is very vigilant. The public is not on our grounds. If there's anyone that is from the public on our school grounds, people are notified immediately.
Supposed to be. They're supposed to be.
Yes. But
You need a bad guy to walk in like you just described. And what do you?
A parent.
Yeah.
Yes, from a parent.
well, they can't. I can only again speak for my building. They cannot get in any of our doors. The only door we can get through is the front door. That is it. That is the only place of entry in our building.
Because you don't have to window.
Well, we have our windows, yes, but our windows are not. I mean, they don't open out. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. What do you need from us, Dan?
I mean,
To
I
say
have
yes.
a note that, you guys, if you approve this, would want to strike through the, may result in termination.
Second sentence.
So yeah, I have that entire sentence removed. I just need a consensus if you want me to put this on the agenda or if it's, we're not moving forward or. I mean, otherwise, officially, it can go to a council agenda and you can formally decide there too.
You can't formally decide anything tonight.
Correct. Yes, it's just. So I'll just do that. I'll put it on the agenda and if it passes, it passes. If not, I'm not gonna do anything else with it. So,
But the night that it will, let's just say it comes onto our agenda, I would expect us not to have any real big discussion about it because that's what this is all about,
Yes.
about it now. Is that correct?
that would be my assumption.
Should
Yeah,
remove the second sentence, correct?
correct. And that would be what I put on the
And
agenda.
everything else will look like it does here, minus that. sentence.
Correct. Yes, that's the only change I have.
And if this were to happen, an employee, you know, range display. So. employee policy.
Correct.
And then you make a decision about it.
Yes, and with the supervisor, so I wouldn't do anything without the supervisor.
If it's brandish, would we call the police?
If it's true, like under
With
law,
intent.
yes, if there's some intent or, yes, we
So
absolutely. would
this,
call the
we
police.
have,
Yeah,
this is in charge.
yeah,
Or is there one with a camera? It's a weapon too.
yeah, if you're running that, we can calling the cops probably.
Well, if this does pass, I would ask that
That probably falls into something else.
yeah, we go back and, you know, talk with our supervisors, and they pass on to their staff. Yes, we want our staff to feel safe and be able to protect themselves as they see need. But also, again, looking at the section about violence in the workplace and address the whole thing. If there's any sorts of threats, there is a process that people need to follow. Report it to your supervisor and get it addressed. Exactly, so that, again, nobody should feel threatened at this workplace. Work sucks enough, but people should also be able to feel safe. If they feel safe by concealed carry or whatever needs they need, then that's fine too. But again, I don't want to hear anything about any sort of people feeling threatened or people, you know.
I don't think the threats are internal, based on, we've had a lot of discussion about this in our department head meetings and with staff, and I think it's the world we live in.
But again, you don't say the wrong thing. You know, again, that's like I said, work sucks enough. If you're working a DPW job and you're with another guy in the truck and he says something that's threatening, that you take as threatening, that's not okay. It should be addressed. You're the supervisor, or it should be handled either through you or their supervisor, or if it comes to us, fine. But it does need to be, again,
And that should be.
our staff needs to understand, yes,
Whether it's
both sides,
weapons or
verbal, anything,
Verbal.
absolutely.
physical.
Because everybody's tense these days.
Like, say that to me.
Thanks, Toby.
What's that now?
I said, you got my back.
I do.
Covered.
Yeah.
Covered back.
That's pretty much what he said.
I don't know what you guys are saying over here. I don't know if I like it.
Your violence.
Uh-huh.
After that,
Yeah.
yeah, I like it, it's good, everybody, move on, go ahead, you did.
I'm ready to go, yes.
All right, single hauler.
We talked about this several months back now, and it took me a little bit of time. So at our last discussion, we talked about trash, and I think it's been a little bit. You guys, we did not come to any decision. At that meeting, we were, I think, what I recall, and you guys correct me, we were kind of on the fence and not 100% sure what the best action to do moving forward was. And you guys had asked me to draft an ordinance so that you could see what that ordinance would look like and to bring it back to you guys and we could have some further discussion. So I did that. Again, I apologize for the time it took me, but I did a lot of research on this. I didn't want to just bring something that was partially completed. I did reach out to some other communities that are doing this. So the ordinance is before you guys, but I think more importantly, hopefully this will help you guys to determine if this is a direction you want to move or not. If this is not something you guys want to do, there would be no ordinance amendment that would be tied to it. So just right now, our contract is a refresher contract with Stevens for recycling. That expires in July of 2026, and our trash tag service expires in August of 2026. And we currently don't do anything for trash other than the bag tag. So we do the regular trash size and then the bulk item. And I have talked to Stevens about renewing. They would, if we choose not to do a single hauler ordinance, obviously if we do a single hauler, it kind of changes everything, but if we choose not to, they would like to just handle the recycling directly themselves instead of having it go through us. And right now we really act as the middleman. We bill it, but Stevens does the pickup. Stevens talks to the customers for the most part. Then they would be willing to still provide the trash tags for those residential users that don't generate enough waste to maybe pay for the monthly service. But they did indicate that there would be an increase in the trash tags. I don't know the exact amount. They had indicated, and again, do not want us to hold them to this, but they were guessing it was going to be roughly $5 per trash tag increase.
Oh, $5 per
Yeah,
per ton.
Yeah, what are they now? I think they're 20 units right now. 28, yes. But that was a very, like they said, do not hold us to that until we actually say we need a proposal to renew this agreement. They could not give us a final number on that. So it could be more or less, I don't know, but. So we talked about doing the single hauler. There is some, I think benefits to doing this, but I also think there's some cons to doing it as well. So some of the benefit is that potentially there's a cost savings, because we become a little bit more competitive. Right now, we essentially have a monopoly with one company that's coming in, and it's not really cost effective for any other companies to come in, because it doesn't make sense for them to come to Blissfield and pick up 5 residential customers and to pay for the fuel and the labor. So there'd be a competitive, we would bid the service out, and whoever had the best rate would win the bid. So there's potentially a savings there. The kind of one of the major cons that I think major cons is that not all of our residents subscribe, and we have a lot of residents that are low waste generators, so they don't need a full toter, and the bag tags are cheaper for them. And if we go to bidding it out, we would have to say all of our residential users are going to be included, because that's how we're going to get the competitive pricing. So for Eric, I'm gonna pick on you a little bit since you're one of us. You would actually, it would cost you more to have the single hauler than what you pay now. Where potentially if Mike, and I don't know if he does or not, but if Mike pays for the service, it potentially could save him money. So that's what I see maybe the biggest con, but if you have questions, thoughts, what you guys are thinking, this is really, it's a council decision, it's a resident's decision, really, like what do they expect from us or want from us, and hopefully that'll give you guys some feedback. I will share, I have talked to some residents about this, and I feel like the people I've specifically talked to, which is not a majority, it's not hundreds of our residents, but the feedback that I've gotten is just stay out of the trash business. So I would say that
Residents are saying stay out of the trash business more than everybody pick their own.
yes. But again, I'm not, I don't want to say that that's the majority of time.
Did we do like a survey on this?
No, so we did talk about that, and you guys did not like that idea at that time.
I think how would people continue, or how would they continue to receive the tags? The bag tags. I think that's just my biggest thing is how can they continue to receive that service?
They would only be able to continue to receive the bag tags if we sell them.
If we had single hauler.
No,
No.
Okay.
we would not have to have a single hauler ordinance. In fact, if we had a single hauler, we would not have bag tags. It would just be everybody
Right.
gets residential. Commercial would be responsible for their own waste still,
But Steven said they would still be looking to do the tags. But they
if
would
we
go-
don't go with the single hauler ordinance, if we choose to kind of stay with.
If that could go up to 50 cents. Or up to 50 cents a tag for people that just do tags.
I think there's a lot, I don't know what our numbers are, but it seems, if you look around, there's a whole lot of tags.
I mean, we do $50,000
Whole
in
lot
tax
of
sales a
tags.
year.
Yeah.
How much is our garbage profile run? I don't have it in front of me, obviously, but what's our garbage fund? Like what do you said we sell 50,000 tags
Yes.
plus recycling, right?
Recycling is about 21,000 a year.
70.
Are we
It's actually down,
Or we just
we're over, I think recycling this year was 19,000, and we had some people that chose not to do that.
and we're
We
just
do-
the middle
we
person.
We don't make any money on recycling, and we make 50 cents for every 10 tags sold. And that is, I say we make that, the 50 cents is actually to cover our cost of selling them, and then we get them in a roll and we bundle them. So it's just to cover the labor associated with that. But it's, again, it's 50 cents per 10.
Right.
That was something that we instituted, because we didn't have it initially.
Right, and our employees are taking time out.
Exactly.
So, and I guess, to be fair, I should correct myself. Recycle, I think we make like a very small, like it's an odd dollar amount, like it's $124.50 and we charge $125, or it's very, it's nothing.
Minimal.
Yes.
How much currently are the curb fees?
The toter.
I'm not 100% because I don't.
I have a single tote, $75 for 3 months.
I see,
Not for me.
no, well.
Right,
Right, not for
what
you,
want,
not
right?
for you.
I mean, one bag of bleach, so that's 4 bags a month. It's $12 a month. For me, it's half price.
Better than I do. I see two ways to look at it. Number one, I got a single hauler.
My bags are the size of this table.
With
They ain't for a table that way.
He forgot.
Eight
to-
foot and 9 6
he forgot to- Oh, yeah.
I'm with you, Mike. on these. More food.
For single hauler, I think, again, I hate monopolies. I hate utility monopolies. I hate that we're the only provider of water, because obviously, people see it. If there's other options, hey, have at it. It's easier on us, whatever's cheaper. Same with internet, et cetera. I see the single hauler for me would be if we were going to fund it as a village. We talked about the library village, things like that. How do we offset those costs? And that was something we looked into. We threw it into the liner this year. But again, people want to see what benefits are they getting for that additional village that the library is funded by all the other municipalities. So again, if it was single hauler and we paid for it, or the village paid for it, fine, that would make more sense.
Right.
But again, if there's other, again, going back to the monopoly thing, if there's 2 or 3 companies that can come in and say, hey, we'll be competitive on our rates, you guys figure it out, we're going to bail them out for residents in it, and we get our hands out of it, that makes sense to me too, because it is hard where you have a family versus you have somebody single, how do we get that middle ground and make it competitive for both sides? I'd rather see us get out of it. I hate that we have to do the 50-cent markup just for the tax, but again, that's offsetting employee costs. I would much rather see, if we think we can afford, that's why I would like to see the numbers, if we put 250,000 towards the library last year, and we're gonna budget 70 or 80 next year, towards garbage, that's a heck of I think a boom that we could say, hey, you're getting some bang back for your buck, right? As a resident or as a taxpayer, as a citizen here. Again, the only issue is as prices increase, you can't always guarantee that. So do we want to set that money aside to do other things, infrastructure improvements like the roof, things like that were, that pop up, or things that we haven't done before, or do we help offset the cost and do some cushions for some of our residents, which I would like to see happen.
I was just garbage.
Did you, I didn't see anything like yard waste, things like that too, because we kind of discussed on that too, like, are we, that would be when we bid it out, like what we kind of encompass, was it, is this an all or,
Yeah, so that's the challenge is without bidding it out, we just don't have firm numbers, what it would cost us.
and then you almost have to decide, is it a full scope, or is it piecemeal, or is it just literally a la carte? So, yeah.
So if we chose to go to single hauler, the bag tags would go away.
Correct.
And then they would contract directly with basically with every citizen or household to get a tote.
So you can do this a couple different ways, actually. So you can single hauler where we bid it out and we say, and they, whoever's lowest is awarded the village Blissfield contract. And they work with the residents and bill them directly at the set rate that was approved, or they bill us and we bill our residents. So you can do it, that's the other thing, there's not one size kind of fits all on this. It really depends on what your community wants and how you guys want to handle that. I've seen it across the board. So I know one community that the trash hauler bills directly to their customers. The community does nothing other than they do a contract for a set amount of terms, so 3 years, 5 years, whatever you guys want, that says you're gonna bid this out, you're gonna guarantee this rate for this amount of time to our residents so that over the next 5 year, whatever that term is period, you can't increase rates. And then after that term, we're gonna rebid it to make sure that you're the most competitive, or we're gonna award to somebody else that is more competitive or cheaper. And then on the flip side, I've seen where other communities, they bid it out and they say, this is what we want, and this is, we'll pay for this for our residents. And if they want any more than that, they have to call you directly. Or again, there's communities that they take care of everything, but then they add that trash fee or bill onto their water bill. So you have water, sewer, trash, and we bill them whatever the rate is. So there's so many options.
So if we did a single hauler, would that include yard waste?
If we wanted it to, we would have to deter, and it could. So again, some communities do, so Hudson does yard waste, they do brush pickup, they do recycling and trash. And they include all of that in their
The
contract.
village doesn't sell.
They bid it out and they do a single hauler. It's actually Stevens that has that contract, and they take care of all of it at whatever price they bid it at. The city of Tecumseh just recently switched, so they're also with Stevens, but they do trash and recycling, one toter for each residential customer. Anything outside of that, brush, leaves, construction waste, if you need a second toter, the resident has to pay for that.
Because I was looking at what is yard waste, it's tree trimming, branches, leaves, grass clipping. So if we didn't bid that out to the single hauler, we would still do that internally with our DPW.
We don't do grass.
We don't do grass,
Well,
but we do
but we do
leaf and
leaves
brush,
and brush.
yes.
So we would continue to do that with our DPW.
Yes, and that's how we chose to proceed.
That's an option. So if we decided to have a single hauler do it, then that'd be less work for DPW.
Not last work. They were cheap, yeah.
Yeah, we reallocated the
But I-
different
You know,
areas.
they
Yes.
say it would be cheaper.
Yes, they
It'd
would
be
not
less
do
on their
that job.
plate,
and-
Yeah.
Reprioritize.
It's like not having the water meters.
That's why if we can get it cheaper with a single hauler, then the residents pay that directly, but again, we're not spending, again, Pluto bucks with 3 DPW guys and 2 dump trucks and a loader. You know, I mean, and that's not cheap either, doing the lease.
So I'm like, Ken, I pay $75 every quarter for trash. So if we went with a single hauler, it's gonna be $100 a quarter. That's probably gonna be a problem with me.
And Eric and myself,
Yeah.
utilize it.
So we'd have to keep that in mind.
Right, but even if it's, and that's what I was trying to say, where one of the cons is for the people who don't have that service because they don't use it.
Right.
So on the flip side, you pay $75 right now, but let's say we bid it out and they come in at $60 and you're happy because you're saving $15, but Eric is spending another
I'm just gonna charge
$45.
my neighbors $10 a whack and they'll make my coder and I.
So
Give them an
So
option.
that's the challenge with our community is we have a lot of people on the trash tags, the bag tags, because they don't generate enough waste to make sense to have a toter. So they do the one bag and so they would pay more. And it's a good amount of our population that does that.
That's what I was gonna ask. Do you already give us a number of how many households?
I don't know how
do
many
trash bags?
households, but we sell $50,000 annually in bag tags.
That's how many tags? 50,000.
Maybe a math.
Pretty close to
Can you math that out?
17,000 tags.
And I even buy this. So in the events that I have extra trash, so I don't have to have the second tote. So I buy, no, I don't. You can buy, you can have two. But I have tags and at the time, for the times when my tote is full, but I've got an extra bag or two of trash. And I just slap tags on. And when I get done, these are tags again, come in and get more tags.
You know, every time I take my garbage out, I think, you know, it's much easier if I just wheel it out.
What?
Several ways.
So how many bags can you fit in your toter?
3.
I would say typically 3.
I would say
Names them in there, huh?
Yeah, it depends on organizing.
Yeah.
If you organize your bags.
Depends on how big your bags are.
And it gets picked up weekly, right?
On average, yes. How many gallons are your bag here?
Mine are smaller, but I will tell you this, I know somebody who used 55 gallon or 50 some gallon, like yard and waste bags. And at one point Stevens was refusing to pick them up
Yeah.
because they said they were too heavy.
Absolutely. You got
But
the
when the other person in the household reminded them that it was a 100-pound person that hauled them with herd, they came and picked them up.
So isn't it
It's 40 pounds
yeah.
and
so
it's not a construction size bag.
it's the like yard weight,
Like
like
a
a 30
33
gallon.
gallon.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess 30 some gallon, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's what they consider a garbage bag. Not the big jumbo.
Yeah, you don't have to do like a little 13 gallon.
Well,
I mean, so, yeah, if you generate 2 bags of trash a week or more, it would make sense for you to do the service based on the fee right now.
do you think we have enough residents to make it competitive, to say more than one company would quote bid or come into town if it were just open?
First, if we go with a single hauler, I know of 3 companies that for sure want to bid it, possibly 4. But,
But if it
They-
were just on their own, right, and you got.
right, so like Republic is one of them, and they have an interest in coming to Blissfield, and people call them according to them regularly. I don't know what that is exactly, but they have not gone outside of commercial because they're not competitive in their pricing to come pick up for 4 or 5 residents. That's their challenge. Specifically, I would imagine that's the same with the other companies as well. So it just doesn't make sense for them to come this distance for a couple people.
Because I just told her I'm not familiar with the tags. So the tags that people buy, Stevens are the ones that fix those bags up. Right?
Correct, yes.
Okay, and how much is one bag for one?
$28 for 10.
Like, okay,
280.
280 a bag. And those are 33 gallon. North Toe.
Definitely should. I've never, I always use the tags, so I've never even questioned. I have questioned, why do they have to fire it, right?
Toter's nice. They drive
Well, we
through
always-
Resi.
I mean, we always had a
It's consistent.
toter.
Yeah, you see like up the moon, you know, going back in the day.
If your mother-in-law was such a small amount. Right, her tag lasts her probably months.
Why do we have such difficulty? I don't understand, like, again, you know, I know you've reached out to Adrian or to come to your other municipalities, say, hey, what do you guys really do? Let's do a large scale effort. Why is it so difficult for people to say, let's work together and maybe
I
if we
don't
do it
know.
countywide?
I tried
say,
to join with Adrian and Raisin, we're
Yeah.
bidding at the same time, so I had met with them. And I said, hey, let's do like a regional trash bid,
Right.
because together we'll have more customers, we'll get a better rate.
Absolutely.
Maybe Republic will bid and open the Adrian landfill. And they initially, the very first time I brought it up to them, they were like, yeah, let's do that. And then trying to get them to meet afterwards and actually sit down and formulate a plan. We never had a meeting. I could never.
It's crazy. You have one company that comes into the county, you know, they're gonna make bank
So-
on us and off they go. And
I
everybody's
can't
taking
speak
care.
for the other managers and administrators, but I can tell you, I think based off of what I do, that I think they probably get so focused on, I've got to take care of my realm of the world that I don't have the capacity to worry about others. And we get, and I think I probably do this too sometimes, like I get tunnel vision, but I'm like, Blissfield, I don't care about. And it's not that I don't want Raisin or these other communities to do well, but it is very easy, I think, to get wrapped up in everything that's going on. So I don't think they're trying to not, that's my 2 cents, but But I think that would be a great idea. I would love to do that.
Didn't Adrian recently switch to where they require everybody to use the totes?
So they switched, it's been,
Yeah.
I wanna say like 2 years now that they
Yeah.
did that. And Tecumseh switched, and I didn't even reach out to them when they did it out. They switched, I think, probably 7 or 8 months ago now. Might not even, yeah, it was probably.
Totes do look nicer along the road.
They do, animals don't.
Right. They won't be able to bag soap with ammonia in it.
I mean, it's what I think cheapest, you know,
Just saying.
So if we were to stick with tags, we have to be in the village, right? Because like Stevens won't sell, say Country Market and Lightning Quick or somebody or VP started selling them and we're out of that business, right? Would
Well,
they
already
consider that?
sells them. Yeah,
Right, but not-
purchase from us.
Yeah.
So that's
You know what I'm
actually,
saying?
I don't
We
know
don't-
if Stevens
don't
would
know.
sell to another company than us. Stevens themselves will not sell them.
They will not sell them directly.
Correct. I did not say like if we didn't sell them, would you still sell the BP or anything like that? I asked them.
Because I don't think they do the quote 50-cent upcharge, right? If you buy it from like Orchards used to do or BP or whatever.
So they.
Yeah, they do.
They charge
They did.
more
yeah.
than we do.
Did
So
they
it's,
charge
it
more?
costs more to go to BP than here. Not, I don't think a lot, more than a lot. But I do think that, because again, I think his staff is selling them and he's covering that cost up front, because he's coming in and purchasing a large
Right.
amount of them. And then reselling them there, plus the convenience that they're open
Yeah.
later in the other weekends.
Again, if we could get it, there's no reason for us to be the middleman if we don't need to be. So I'd love to self-fund it, say, here's a perk of living here and here's where your tax money goes, et cetera, et cetera. Again, everything comes at cost. We get that, but I don't see why we have to be a middleman and counting 10 off a roll and tear them off and fold them up and sell them either. It's kind of a pain in the butt. So
I disagree. I think that it is a service that we're offering to the community by doing that, so that people that don't need a tote don't have to have a tote.
Right.
So we are providing a service for everybody.
No, I agree. Yeah,
But
but
if we say, okay, Eric, now you're gonna be responsible for paying for a tote that you don't need. Because it's effective, because we think it's better for 12 other people over here. I don't like doing that either, because I don't think the numbers justify us doing that. I think what the numbers do justify us doing is doing the 50 cents, whatever we do, as a service to our community by not forcing them again to have a tote. When you talk about the water rates and all of that, using that, people are already feeling like Christina came in, she's feeling that we are coming down with a hammer on that end of things. So if we come in and say, well, it's going to be cheaper for everybody else, well, it won't be for everybody else if we do a single hauler tote forcing policy. But we can offer you this. You have the choice.
And it's still a choice.
And it's still a choice. And again,
Where
I
they
don't
can
like
feel
arguing
they're
from
in
perception
control.
as reality either, but I'll take it because it's my argument today.
But I mean, it gives them the control of having a choice of spending the $75,
Yes.
whatever, every 3 months, or purchasing the tank.
Sure.
For 4 years, I've been purchasing the tanks.
Oh, sure. And I'll bet there are even some of our residents don't do either of those things, buy tags or not tote. Because they have other means, they know of other people that will take care of their trash for them, and they just haul it to wherever, which is fine.
Well,
Obviously,
yes,
well, you don't want
yes,
to
and
be.
no.
I'm not talking about going
I'm
out.
kidding, I'm
Not if
kidding.
it's going to your neighbors.
It's,
If it's going in somebody's dump.
well, I'm gonna be more specific. A Blissfield neighbor, no, you can't do that. But actually, Stevens policy is you can. if they are a customer. So if you have a tote and I have a tote and you have an extra bag and I have room, you can put your extra bag in my tote.
I'll be over tonight.
Well, I have never had room. Maybe I know who does on my street.
Maybe you're familiar with, I wasn't talking about getting out of the bag tags, because I think that is, because I think us selling them and having the upcharge. I don't see the point of it. If you need bag tags, go to the store, go to the gas station.
Well, if the single hauler doesn't require that we have to have every single resident on the plan, then I'd be much more in favor of looking at a plan like that. But if they say, no, you have to have 100% participation, otherwise it's not economical for us, then I'm not going to be for that.
And that's what,
And maybe that's a better distinction, so thanks for that. What's that?
and that is what they're saying, because they want
They
that
want everybody
guaranteed
on-
customer, because then they know our revenue is gonna be, we can expect our revenue to be X
Sure.
amount of dollars, where if everybody doesn't have to be involved, it.
Right, no, but if they
it's like our
said,
base fee for water.
right, but if they said that it was a, we want out of, how many households do we have, like 12, 1250? How many water meters do we have? 1,500. So if they said, you have to have 1,000, if you get 1,000 people to sign up for this, then we could come in and do it. I might be in favor of that, but I don't want to force our residents to have to take care of their trash in this one way. That's my thing. So I'm not going to completely rule it out, but I'm not in favor of it.
I feel
I
like
know,
we
but it's
sell a lot
a
of
cost for everybody, right? Not just,
So that's how,
The-
what that
the
tells
large-
me is
right,
people, there's a lot more people who prefer to buy tags as opposed to have the tote. And are we cutting them off and forcing them into something that they can?
And we do have a lot of people that do what Ken described too, where they have a tote, but they, during the holidays, they have extra family over, or
And
they
you come and
have
get
some
tags
celebration
to
and they'll come by that to offset, so that yearly, they don't have to pay for 2 totes, but that one or
You don't
two
have to
times a year.
trash is for trash.
Yeah, so that's enough, that's also very common that people do that.
So Danielle, your understanding that a single hauler wants all 1,500 residents.
Yes, that I talked to,
or
like I said,
households.
I've talked to 4 companies, 3 pretty in depth, and yes, they want the guarantee that they're gonna come in and I'm saying we have 1,500
Yeah,
meters, that's not all
1,200,
residential,
yeah.
so
Sure.
residential maybe,
Sure, I'm not
whatever
holding
it
you to
is,
it.
1,200, they wanna know that they're gonna pick up 1,200 residential users at X cost, because then it's guaranteed, it's more cost effective for them, that they can take care of their trucks, they can.
I'd like to see what
staff,
their
so.
cost is. Is it
Yeah, the only
$75
way to see that would be to bid it out. And I don't know that if we're going out for the sole purpose of just bidding, or, yes, I don't know that it would be accurate or, yeah.
Don't we have to revisit it then for the next, when it ends the August?
Yes, so depending on kind of what you guys are thinking with this, I'm going to follow up with them regardless, and either say we're looking at this, or we need to start talking about our contract for, I would agree with Stevens, take us out of recycle and they can bill the customers, that there's no, I don't think need for us to do that. And then, so it would really just be renegotiating and renewing the contract. for that.
You know, about a minimum of 320 is what they're saying for bag tag.
You would have to get updated pricing, and we would have to look at, I would propose at least a couple year term. Our current contract was a 5-year term. I don't know that Stevens will do a 5-year. I would propose a 3-year term.
I think I would.
Yeah,
I'd start with 5,
yeah.
We've had this, our last contract was 5 years, that's what I would start with.
Go for
Or
10.
you already,
No,
you already have an-
yeah, they're not.
you already
I
have an
haven't
idea.
even-
Yeah.
I mean, I can ask again, but I've talked to them quite a bit. And like in our 5-year contract now, they put an increase every year anyway, so they might do a 5 year, but then it's probably gonna be larger. Not 5 years. Right.
They're not gonna lose.
I'm guessing, just based on what we talked about, but again, that's something we will talk about. The contract, if that's the route we go, that agreement would come to council for approval. That's not something we would just the staff sign off on, so you guys would have all of that information before signing it.
And what's the contract like?
For back tax August of 26, but I would try to review that before so that we have no gap in.
What about the
Service. Recycling is July. And they would still continue providing that service, just instead of the village billing, that they would just work directly with Stephen. So if you have that service now with trash, you would just get one bill for both.
What about the, so that, nothing with the DPW / the yard waste, that takes care of that, we would just keep that.
Yeah,
as
we will
well.
continue as is. I would think,
But if we got out of it completely and said, hey, we're kind of open, right, to whatever company comes in, you contract on your own or you pay your own.
yeah, and
That's,
which is,
that's an option as well, right? Say-
I mean, anybody can contract with anybody. I think they're just going to have a hard time getting somebody other than Stevens to come in, but they can. I mean, if somebody,
probably not gonna be cost effective.
yeah, I mean, if Republic quotes them $300 and they want to pay that, but that's their business. They can contract with whatever trash hauler they want at whatever rate is determined between that.
The Stevens, okay, so. The Stevens come in just to do the yard waste and things like that. I mean, as long as the garbage as well, does it have to be assigned? Assigned single.
I think I wonder, so you're asking like instead of BPW doing it, can
Yes.
we hire Stevens to do it?
Yes.
Yes, we could look at just that, without doing the single hauler, we could just have a contract, but,
I think we would, yes, I think we should maybe visit that. You guys hear what I'm saying down there? Eric, you hear that?
I'm sorry.
I'm wondering if we should have Stevens, have Danielle connect with Stevens about the cost for yard waste. I asked that because of just looking at it, I think this whole discussion coming up. I just think we should maybe see if something could be a little cheaper.
Cheaper than our
Than our DPW's picking it up, the amount of man hour, vehicle, etc. I mean, when you gave those numbers, that was very eye opening for me. I mean, I knew it was a lot of money, but I didn't know how much money it was at that time. So I'd like to see if they would give us, or what kind of a quote they would give for that. Yeah, I really would.
with us billing it out or with us paying for it because we pay for DPW to do it.
That's how I understood what you were saying, so like right now, if we're paying, and I'm
Instead
like,
of paying-
we pay $150,000 for DPW to do it a year, and they put it at 100, that we would pay, and we're saving 50.
Yes.
That's how I understood it.
That's what I mean, yes,
And that's what I was hoping.
what you just said, that's what I meant to ask, yes. So if it costs us this much, what would it cost us? I would like to really find that out.
Or is it 150 for us and it's 200 for them? and
Yes,
we keep
right,
doing it?
Yes, I think with everything else that we are really doing a good job at, with really looking at what cost of water, this is other options, I think we owe that to our residents as well. Maybe we could find something that be a little bit cheaper on that.
I can certainly have that conversation.
Or expand it. I mean, we can only collect so much brush and, we don't collect grass, et cetera, like again,
Well,
improve the
perhaps
services.
the other thing that it would help with that, of course, is not that it's been critical, but the whole burning of the brush, you know what I'm saying? So that would take away some of the burning of the brush issue as well, that cost factor. So, yeah, let's check on that.
Yeah, I will.
Do we think of grass to that as well?
I can see if I can get that. as an option.
I mean, if we're gonna do it, we might as well see.
And of course, what is their definition of yard waste? Yeah, maybe that is part of their definition of yard waste.
Include all of it, or, I can definitely get some more information on that.
Thank you.
Okay, so based off of this conversation, I'm gonna nix ordinance. I'm gonna reach out to Stevens about renewing bag tags. That information will come to you guys and I will have a conversation and get more information on their ways. Unrelated free. Yeah, I agree. Awesome. So next thing I'm gonna turn over to Mike. You would ask for this to me.
All right, yeah, just request that we do this or talk about it, because again, it's something that we kind of done as tradition, so. As long as I can remember, we used to do hams, turkeys. And again, you know, being a government entity, you can't do bonuses, things like that, et cetera. But again, you know, I think it goes a long way to just follow the tradition, show our employees that, you know, we can do what we can and show them that we appreciate them. You know, can we talk to, you know, Country Market, try to get things maybe at cost or get a discount, et cetera, talk to whoever. Regarding that, and then, you know, then I talked about the luncheon that we had done in the past as well, if you're interested in that. Get the $25 gift card, et cetera, you know, from TLC makes kind of sense, but again, can't we use those points in purchase and stuff?
You can only turn them in for gift cards.
And then we just use those to try to get them at cost.
Well, we can only, it's like 2 places, so we could get a Walmart one, and we had talked about that when we did the gift cards last year, but we wanted to try, if we were gonna buy hams and turkeys, we wanted to try to stay local. So I wouldn't be able to use it to go to Country Market and purchase hams and turkeys. And there are other, like we did Amazon. Amazon's kind of was the best catch-all generic one. They have, like, you can do Olive Garden, you can do Walmart. I said there's a lot, but not all of. There's quite a few restaurants. You can do like Barnes and Noble, I think was one, but our thought was Amazon kind of, you can get almost anything from there that our employees could take whatever it is that they needed or wanted.
But we can also use those points or those cards towards stuff that we buy in house, right? We buy all sorts of
Yes. So
stuff from
we
Amazon.
buy stuff from
So again, it's
Amazon.
kind of an offset, you know,
I
this versus that.
I misunderstood. That's how we use the $25 to buy a turkey at Orchard or something.
No, but if not, again, you just offset the cost, you're buying office supplies off
Yeah,
Amazon.
last year we just gave the employees a $25 Amazon gift card instead of a hamburger.
And again, going back to the budget, things like that, you know, kudos to our staff and our supervisors, Danielle, et cetera, because everybody's been under budget. You know, they keep it tight on what they do. I think that's the least we can do is give them a turkey or ham. And, you know, hey, I get shop a local, but again, if we can get them at cost, whatever, or get a discount wherever, have at it. And again, same with the employee party. Again, I don't have any problem chipping in on that. I think that's a nice way to say thank you. We don't always get to see our employees and our staff. I think it's just a good way to build that camaraderie and sort of build that trust and say that communication. So it's kind of a win-win for me.
We have relatively low participation for last Christmas dinner. Or when the lunch was provided.
It was the lunch, yeah. So we did not do dinner, or I'm sorry, a lunch last year.
Right.
Because the year prior to, we had the office staff, it was very minimal participation. The year before that was minimal, but that last year was very bad. There were 3 employees outside of the office staff. And so you guys have, I don't want this to come across rude. You guys have, as council, in the past funded the lunch, I think almost every year. I think there's only one I know that you didn't. But you typically come to me and you give me the money, and then myself, and usually I recruit Lisa. Sorry, Lisa. We do all of the work in the planning. We find where we're going to order it, we set up all the tables, and it's a lot of work for 3 people to come. And we are also employees who are not feeling very appreciated when we do all of this work. And thank you for funding it. I don't want to sound ungrateful,
You know,
but that's why we didn't do it last year, because our schedules with the staff and employees, it's just hard to get to. And so I will say I'm not in favor of doing it again. I appreciate our employees. I like the idea of the thought that you're going for, but it just hasn't been super successful the last several years. So to me, it just seems like a lot of work and money on your guys' part and ours for planning for just not a lot of attendance.
Well, same can kind of be said for like, you know, the board trainings or the board, you know, like we more just bust her butt. You know, Lisa was there making all that food for the night, but I can't think of
The
it.
business after
Yeah,
hours.
after hours.
hours,
You
yeah.
know, unfortunately, you know, we get 20 to 25 of our locals, but again, you know, that was a lot of work that she put on and our staff put on to pull that off. And again, if people aren't going to jeopardize or aren't going to utilize that, number one, that training, let alone a free meal and everything else, it's kind of like, yeah, I get the frustration behind it. So I'd be more than happy to do it all if you guys don't. I get that. It's a lot of work for you guys. So if you guys are up for paying, chipping in or whatever, I'll make it happen. But yeah, I don't expect that to fall back on you guys all the time. It is a lot of work.
Where was it done at? Was it
So
done here or?
We typically did it here at Village, and we did close Village Hall, because we would still wait on people, but we would just, clear these chairs and we would do tables around here, and we tried to make it look kind of festive. We do tablecloths, and we typically try to do like something on the table, which we don't have to do, but we were trying to be festive. And then we would just have it catered or brought in. So the last time we actually did Olive Garden. And we got some different pastas and salad and breadsticks, and in the conference room, kind of a buffet style setup. You just went and got what you wanted, and then you come out here and eat. And Lisa made the drinks for it, so they could get drinks and food. And then we would just give the employees that time to come in and just eat lunch and chat with other employees and council. And
Was it a good turnout?
And that's where I understand the desire. I wrote some notes here, the desire to offer the holiday gestures. I just don't think they're necessary this year. I really believe that. I think it sounds really nice in theory. The participation, and I'm going to say this with the capital letters, appreciation, have been very minimal. That is my perception, and that in my rules, that is the reality. I was very disappointed with the lack of appreciation and participation. I'm going to ask, were there any, I hope so. I hope I'm really wrong with this. Were there any thank you cards sent after the gift cards were sent?
I did have some verbal thank yous last year after the gift
Well, that's
cards from several employees.
That's good, because I didn't get that feel. Maybe it was just the year before the luncheon. But I do know it is an additional workload for Danielle and the office staff. And when there's not that participation / appreciation, I don't see that being something that needs to continue. And I'm not trying to sound like a Scrooge here. I truly am not. I think our village provides a competitive salary and wages and benefit program. And that's been one of our big whopping goals for our employees. And I think we've been very successful with that. I just don't think additional holiday initiatives are needed.
And this luncheon was also, so they get the gift cards last year and luncheon.
Last year was the first year
No lunch.
that we didn't have a lunch, at least since
And that's why they did gift cards last year.
we did the gift cards instead of the turkeys, because the turkey cost was going up significantly. at that time. I think probably working with Country Market, we could get a reasonable price on those. So we did that because we wanted to do something.
So in the
I
past-
also want to remind you guys too, that in the past, I'm trying to, I don't know if I did this wrong, we did it last year, I think we did. I would say the last 3 years, we've given the employees an additional half day holiday pay, as a,
Yes.
as a kind of thank you, appreciation thing. So how we
Use
work,
whatever.
yeah, we've asked them to use it in kind of that month time frame, but that they get to take an additional 4 hours off paid to be with family. And did we do that last year? I know we did the 2 years before. I'm trying to remember.
I can't remember.
I know I can't
You're asking the
remember
wrong
100% if we did last year, but the 2 years before we did. I think we did last year too. but-
So
What kind of feedback did you get last year from?
Zero feedback, not a single person, nobody said anything about it, other than Lisa and I. So we were like, we don't have a party,
So I
but
didn't-
but it wasn't a,
You weren't complaining though.
no, it wasn't a
No.
complaint. It was-
No, I didn't word my question, right? So was the luncheon in addition to the ham turkeys or?
Yes, yeah, we did both. Sorry,
I don't think we should vote. I agree with Gwen and their nice benefits that they get.
Well, especially about the 4 hours paid.
Which I don't have that on the agenda for this year. I don't know if that's something you guys want to do again or not, but
I wasn't very eloquent last week and I felt bad about it. It bothered me after the meeting. It really did. It bothered me and how I stated it. It's just, I don't care what the world is like now. I care how we treat each other. And I just don't think there's appreciation there that I expect. I just don't. I don't want anybody to go ahead and kiss my tush, slash it's not my tush. It would be my boss's tush. And it would be the other person who's putting on the lunch. And I just don't think that that's happening. And I'm very saddened by that. Honest answer. I really am. It bothers me immensely. The amount of work that's going on that people are doing it, and just the kindness of thank you. Or wow. 4 hours paid. Are you kidding? That's a beautiful thing. I'm not complaining. I just want the appreciation there. That's all I'm asking
I
for.
think there's too much animosity.
Yes, I do. Yes, I honestly do. I don't think there's enough thankfulness.
Ungratefulness, more than
Yes.
animosity.
I don't know, it could be a little bit of both. And that's.
People
what I-
get set in their tradition though, you know what I mean?
Well,
Hams and turkeys, not a difficult thing. We did it for 4 years. We did it my dad was chief. As long as I was a kid, I can remember.
well,
Came home with a
we had
ham or turkey.
tradition with the- with an
Why is that
attorney.
so hard?
We had a tradition of an attorney being at every single meeting. Attorney hasn't been to every single meeting. We've been doing just fine.
I still prefer, yeah,
Well-
that's for the safety of being up
I
there
think
making
we've been
decisions.
doing just fine. And I think that's my opinion. I think most of the council would feel that. I can't speak for everyone. But just because it's tradition doesn't mean it's right. Let's be real with that.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, tradition wasn't last year. They didn't receive a ham or a turkey. They got gift cards.
so I can reach out to Country Market and see if I can get a cost for what that would be. As well. If you guys feel like you need that to decide or.
I don't need it to decide. That's fine.
I think I'd like to do a hamburger turkey.
I think I like that.
Yeah, I like that. If the lunch, if only 3 people are showing up and there's 25 employees.
Then it's, yeah, not necessarily kind of shame on them for not.
Yeah. But I think the hamburger turkey is a good question. And I'd be willing to.
Shouldn't have to, but.
Yeah,
that's
the
always just
village
a
has
question.
historically paid for that, so I will get a cost. I will bring it to you guys because it is an appreciation from council. And I did not budget for it, so I'm going to bring it to you for that reason as well, but
And even though Country Market is now open, they should be.
yes, they've been working with us on several other things. They worked with the Rotary on the bonfire, so I think they would, I don't speak for them, but I imagine that they'll be very happy to.
I would like to.
So that would be, there would be no gift cards at all then. So that's it.
I just think a hamburger turkey. And I think whatever's expensive, they should have a choice.
We only had somebody like choose a turkey one time.
It's me.
No, No, we had one other
Really is
person.
me.
That is just my.
I'm
that's
just-
my-
In the past, there's been one or two maybe.
I have a question. Our employees, they get an hour lunch or half hour?
It depends on their schedule.
Depends on the staff.
Would that have affected how many people showed up at jobs last year? Or, you know,
But we,
I
no,
know.
we pay them for their lunch. If they come, yeah, we don't count that as like their,
okay, so
So we
everything was
actually-
paid, they just didn't come.
yes, yeah. So in fact, in years past, we've had employees come to the lunch and then take their 30 minutes to go run an errand or something. Because we were saying, this is our holiday gift to you to come have lunch. And yeah, they're
Depends on
not
the
having to
position.
take personal time for lunch.
The lunch. Right, depends on the position. Some people get paid, some don't.
Position or position?
It depends on the schedule,
Well,
not the position, just what their schedule is.
you guys work 10, right?
Right, so
And
we
you-
were,
and you get a 30-minute lunch,
correct.
but some of our other staff doesn't get paid lunch.
No, instead they get a vehicle.
Who doesn't get paid lunch? The PD works in 12-hour shifts and gets to take a lunch.
You get 'em.
They get paid working, right? They get working, because they get paid.
Well, DPW they do take a 30-minute, they work 8.5 hours per
Exactly.
shift and get paid.
So they work for paid for it.
Right.
Where.
They take breaks also.
30 minutes in that work time.
And we
Right.
rarely take lunch either.
I'm just saying, perception is reality.
Well, I've come in.
Wow,
to
and
see
then
people
you
eat their
wonder
nuts,
why,
so-
I'm not gonna say a word.
You can't
No,
see.
I can't say that
No.
eloquently right
Right.
now. So what you've just done is exactly what I was talking about earlier.
I'm
Being
repeating what I've
kind,
heard.
being kind,
I'm repeating
and
some of
being
the
kind
comments.
to our employees. That's exactly what, boy, you're saying things that that does not sound kind at all. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well,
How's that not kind when a
I'm
DPW
just
member
gonna-
has to work a 30, has to work, not get paid their 30-minute lunch, and an office
I'm
staff
not gonna say
gets
anything.
30 minutes to pay for lunch. How's that? You think that's not, honestly, that's piped up from my head? I've been reported that, I've been told that. I'm repeating, again, some of this.
And let's go ahead and give them a hand when they create the animosity between one employee and the other employee. Here, you know what? You created this animosity, but by God, here's a hand for you, buddy. And you know what? Take the 4 hours paid, take that half day, and then go ahead and get the health insurance. So we're gonna go ahead and get you the $2,500 for the HSA or the $5,000, depending whether or not you have a family. And then you're talking about animosity, right? That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Right.
So what I'm talking about, stop. They need to stop. People, we are a community and work together. Are you kidding me?
I understand that, but again, we're talking about different tiers of different.
That
employees
is
out there.
causing animosity.
Yes,
That's
because
the
some people work 30 minutes and some people have to work through their lunch,
Oh
right?
my God. Okay, we are not on the same page, Mike.
No, we're not.
You're not. No, we're
And
not.
some are salaried, and some are hourly too.
So a couple of things I would like to remind you guys, we do have a chain of command. If any employee has a concern, all they have to do is run it up the chain of command and it will be looked at. And if it is not, then the chain of command is to go to you guys and say, why was this not looked at or addressed? So until they go up that chain of command, it shouldn't come from the top down. You guys can have your personal opinions, but if somebody is saying that, refer them to their supervisor. If they're uncomfortable or can't talk to their supervisor, I am the next step. If I ignore them and don't address it, then it is to you guys. But until they're doing that, then I don't think it should be starting with you guys, just as a reminder.
Well, what about
and
the, no, go ahead, Larry.
I was saying, and I would just encourage you guys to remind the employee of that as well. If you are,
Because
because,
if she's talked to Danielle.
correct, because it's not fair, you're asking me to do a job when it's something I don't know about.
And if, yeah, if you don't know about it, you can't address it.
Correct.
So that's what I'm just passing it
But
along.
it's- But it should come from them,
Okay.
not from you, because I want to be able to address the specific situation or circumstance or what their frustration is. Or make adjustments or whatever we need to do. It, I shouldn't be
Getting a third hand.
right, because this is where I think some of the issues sometimes come with morale and employee issues is it comes from the top and funnels down when maybe I
Well,
don't
it's
think
not
that's the
initiated at the
problem.
top, it's just being passed, disseminated, it's not being disseminated.
But then it is
Command.
initiated when you bring it up at the top and try to direct it down, when we should be asking our employees for feedback and then making adjustments from there.
Okay.
Like, they have a voice, they can come talk to, hopefully their supervisor, they for sure can come talk to me.
Well, okay, well, the last one I'll throw out there then, so we talked, again, police union and other, employees, right? But yet we want to have the same sort of employee level, right? So we're automatically gonna give, if the police got 4, gets 4%, oh, everybody else is gonna get 4%, right? Now we talked about a call out pay or a call out pay, right? If you get 3 hours or if you get 2 hours or 7, has that been balanced out? I'm not sure.
No,
right?
that is on my to-do list of
Well, that should
amendments
be
to
very,
make in the personnel
very
policy.
easy thing to say, hey, scores,
But
somebody
again,
get 3, you get 3. move
If
on.
the employee has a concern about that, they just have to come talk to me. Then I know then to move that up my list of, this is important
So
to the
there's a breakdown
employee, so.
between that employee and their supervision and saying, either the employee needs to say, hey, supervisor, this is a concern, or the supervisor should not come to you and report that concern. There's obviously some communication issues in the chain that people need to be able to speak up and say, let's get this addressed.
Or nothing's being said. So yes,
Right.
there's a
Right.
communication issue
Yes.
somewhere.
Yes,
But that's if I'm not gonna put that on my high priority list with everything else I have going on, because not a single person has said anything, so I think they don't care, it's fine. If I
That's
know
very
that
easy. Like,
they-
we just decided 3 hours, okay, across the board, 3 hours, right? I mean, that
it's
should be
easy
their
to say it, but going and making the plan and putting it on it's more than just saying it.
Okay. Well,
If it's not in the plan, then it's not, or in the personnel policy, then that's not what we're gonna follow, because that's what we're referring to. And I agree, it's easy, and I would do that, but I don't think that's an issue unless they tell me. I just think you're being unfair to me, and I think you're being unfair to the supervisors, because I don't think we have any supervisors, and maybe I'm wrong, that are just going to blatantly ignore their employees. And if they are, then come to me so that I can address it. But you're either not being fair to them, and then again, you're secondly not to me, because we're going backwards. That's my only, I have no issue with them feeling that way. Come have a conversation. I can't fix or do something if I don't know about it.
And like you said that during our regular council meetings, you made that very clear. The chain of command, I mean this not disrespectfully, this is with all respect. You are not part of that chain of command. She is.
Well, technically are, yes.
You are,
As
is the chain up to you fails,
Yes.
but it's not failing when the supervisor and I don't know about it.
That's what I mean by that.
Yes, absolutely, no, I get that.
And
Right.
if the employee has an issue saying something to the supervisor, then it should be coming to you.
Yes.
And then how is Danielle? So when Danielle, that's where this whole thing happens, because nobody's talking.
Right.
Let's talk behind each other's back. Well, they don't put it on Facebook. No, what they do is they chomp on each other's back and they don't talk to the person. Right there she is.
Well, that's where I need your guys' help with this, because they need to know that they can come to me. And then if I fail to act, go to you.
Yes.
All day long, go to you guys. But if
Please don't take this
They're not
as my
coming to
comment though,
me.
wasn't listening an insult saying that something wasn't happening. It's just, it was reported to me. I passed that information on.
No, I would take it as absolutely.
but it should,
Your first response should be, did you talk to your supervisor?
that's what I'm asking you guys, is to help me remind them there is a chain of command, there is a process, and it's in place to protect them so that they can get answers. So if they're coming to you guys, did you talk to your supervisor? Yeah, they didn't do anything. Did you go to Danielle? Yeah, she didn't do anything. Now we can have a conversation. If they say no to either of those, then that needs to be their first step. Because that's what you guys have hired us as supervisors and administrator to do, so that you don't have to worry about that. Because ideally, this all works smoothly, we address it, we get it fixed, and you guys don't even know you're none the wiser. We've moved on, they're happy, I'm happy, we're good to go. And I think the employees, if they do that, will find that most of the time that is the case. I'm not saying there are not gonna be times that we disagree on something, but it's not gonna just be ignored.
And I agree. I get why you got every right to be offended about the animosity and things like that. I agree. Yes, but it does boil down to the communication. You're absolutely right. They need to speak up. They need to be able to speak up, but they also need to be heard, right? Or feel like they're being heard.
The problem is this, Mike, they don't speak up. Right. They go ahead and they chop, chop, chop. You cannot, that is not fair to the village. It is not fair to our residents. It's not fair to us. It's not fair to our community. It's not fair. It sets it up for failure. Communication is the key. It sounds so ridiculous, but it's the key. Come on. It is.
It is absolutely.
And when they chop, 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 wherever they're chopping, and all it does is breed negative. And that negative is not what we need. We are better than that. We have come, I know this, leaps and bounds within our village of Blissfield from where it has been. We don't need that kind of lack of morale, because they're causing their own lack of morale.
By not speaking up.
But
yeah,
they have no one to blame but themselves. It's just like with the wage study. Some people are still upset about that wage study. I don't know how you can be upset about that wage study and still be upset with her about it when she went ahead with that wage study and she said, here's the numbers. And now people are not happy with what the numbers where they are now. I went through that a while ago with you guys. You know, when we were doing the evaluation. That's what you guys said you wanted. You wanted me and you. Doesn't matter if you worked there 15 more years than me. You said you wanted us to be paid the same amount of money. Now that's happening. And now you don't like it and you're holding it against her? How dare you? How dare you do that? And then you don't go talk to her about it. Instead, you're going to go in the background and chirp, 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 chirp over here and say how she screwed you. That is absolutely
You
wrong.
want to clarify, one employee did come talk to me about it.
Well, that's good.
But I agree with them. They should not make the same if they've been here 15 years versus.
And that's what the wage study
But
showed.
that is what the majority of the employees ask for.
Yes. So they can't do that. And that's what I'm saying with my whole thing. And that's, I like our people. I don't like what their actions are right now and what they've been and how they're treating each other and how they're treating their boss. I really don't. And that's why I will not pay anything for a ham. I will not buy a ham this year. Won't.
I do think we have really good employees.
Yes.
I think all of our employees they care about the village of Blissfield. I think they care about their coworkers. We are imperfect people. I am imperfect. I don't expect them to be. We need to improve our communication and we need to improve our trust. And we need to be able to say and have a conversation that says, hey, this bothers me. What can we do about it? And I think if we can get to that point, that our employees will realize that we are all on the same team. We are not 100% going to agree on things, but I need you 7 to support me in that. I can't have you going behind my back or having side conversations with employees where they vent, and I don't care if they vent to you, but then it goes no further. It's truly that, it's venting. Otherwise, I need you guys to ask that question. Did you talk to your supervisor? Did you talk to the administrator? And if they didn't, or they did, again, then it needs to formally come up to all 7 of you, not just one of you, because that's also, I need to be fairly evaluated by all of you. And if I'm failing to do my job, that's fine, but I want all 7 of you calling me out, not just you, because, and I'm picking on you, but because now you and I are gonna have animosity and trust issues, where if you're all 7 telling me the same thing, I'm gonna be like, okay, I better get my stuff in order, or and do something different.
And when that trust is there, I'll buy a hand. But until then, I want people to start working and talking to you and working together. The backbiting has got to cease. And that's all I'm asking, having that line of communication open.
There also needs to be an understanding that there is no expectation of 100% fairness across the board at every level for every job and every job description.
Fair is no fair.
It cannot, we can't do that. We cannot work towards the goal of equity. That will never be happen, because then what happens is you end up reducing everything down, not increasing up. And if people are upset about how much they make, then, and they see somebody else making more, then pursue that opportunity. Look for opportunities to better yourself, to take other opportunities to improve your situation, whether it's personally, professionally, or financially, whatever you want to do. But we cannot be an individual complaint department for other people, for our employees. We are that for our residents.
That's different, right?
Which is very different.
Right.
So I would just add, I'm still going to do the ham in turkey, but I think that our employees need to understand that just because you gripe doesn't mean you have a gripe, and don't have the expectation of fairness across the board, because it's never happened in any of our families.
Just because you're right doesn't mean you're right.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I agree with you, but say at budget time, we only said we could have saved $100,000 in our general fund, right, by giving the rest of the staff 3%, even though the PD only got 4% because of their union, which I don't like. How much would we have heard that? It was a quick, well, PD got 4%, so everybody's gonna get 4%, right? And it was, and I would have loved to have talked about, well, is that what we can afford versus what is fair, quote fair,
We
right?
knew that when the.
I don't think 12% across the board over the next 3 years is number one feasible, or is it
Maybe
financially?
maybe the
fiscally
4%
responsible?
goes, but then what will change is the benefits for the benefit package. And we've been saying that for a number of years.
Right.
And that's something we have to get to. But then what they can do, because one group is a unit and one group's not, there's some animosity that can be created there.
Oh, yeah.
You got 4, I have to get 4. The expectation is that, but then
But it shouldn't be.
but if you shouldn't be, but it is. That's called reality perception.
Yeah.
But by gosh, if we get 3 and you got 4, holy crap's gonna happen. And you know that. And that was part of the reason you have.
Which goes back to my point, why does the office staff get a paid lunch? And
Well, then perhaps the people that feel
Should speak
differently
up.
on that should speak up
Agreed.
and then say, you know what? Hey, you know what, village council, maybe we need to talk about that.
Agreed.
Boy, that would be, by gosh, something to think about.
And not every benefit has to be equal.
Right.
So somebody gets a paid lunch, somebody doesn't get a paid lunch, but they have a different benefit over here that these people over here don't get. And it's part of just maybe keeping your eyes in your own sandbox. Now, we're a little bit different in that we see all of it. And so, yeah, we do want to try to be, now I'm going to use my word again, mid-20s, equitable in that fashion. But it doesn't mean that we are obligated to do it. If we can do it, we can do it. And if we can't, we can't. But once we make the decision, we can't come back and change that decision until it's time to redo the budget, redo a contract, whatever that limit is, like what we've been talking about.
No, good discussion. What else? Anything else? That's good. Good.
Much we gotta put it.
She's gonna get caught.
Excellent.
Yeah, not village council director, actual.
Village council needs to pay for it, yeah. Lunch. That's
not it. All right, we're good. Discussion. Keep moving forward. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.